Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. This year I will be doing a farmhouse themed Christmas. All the supplies that I will be using will serve as a basis to show you how I put items together for my projects. I hope that they will serve as an inspiration to give you ideas on how you can put things together for your holiday decorating. And I hope that you will enjoy this whole series. And as always, to all of you, Merry Christmas. Alright everyone, today I have a little bit of a different craft for you to do. We are going to be using Deco mesh and we are going to be creating a little tree. We're going to be putting him in a little pot. So let me show you what the supplies are going to be so we can go ahead and get started. Alright, the first thing I did is I pulled out my cutting board here because I am going to be using a rotary cutter. If you're using scissors, of course you don't need to do that, but maybe just something to protect your work surface if you don't have a little table that you're crafting on. Okay, now we're going to be needing a little pot. This is about an 8-inch height pot and the opening is about 6 inches. So anything about that size is fine. You can use a terracotta pot or maybe something a little bit smaller than this. This is from the Dollar Tree from their spring. So I am going to be using some burlap to cover this part here. You don't have to do that, only if you want to cover your pot. And of course I want a farmhouse themed look to it, so I'll be changing it just a tad. You can pick your terracotta pot if you want. We're going to be using some styrofoam inside of our pot as well, so you can grab that at the Dollar Tree as well. I'm using a foam board, and this is just a scrap from a piece of foam board. You can get foam board also at the Dollar Tree or anywhere else that you happen to do your shopping at. I did get some Deco mesh and I got this large roll. This is a 21-inch by 10-yard roll and I got it in a green. If you do want to get it from some other places and you don't find a large one, you do need to get yourself some variegated sizes, maybe a 12-inch, anywhere 10-inch, 8-inch, or 6-inch, in those variegated sizes, or figure something, you know, that might fit in within those measurements, or you might do some cutting. I just grabbed this one big one. I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting. Okay, chenille stems, pipe cleaners, whatever you want to call them, and floral wire. I'm going to be cutting these in half and then in half again, so I have little 4 pieces out of each one. And I'm not cutting all of these. I'm just going to cut a few. I'm just letting you know. I'm probably going to cut about 130 or so. We'll see. Okay. And then we're going to be using some ribbon. You can use any ribbon that you like. I did grab this one from the Dollar Tree. I'm probably going to be using this one, but I grabbed this one just so that you can see you can use anything you like. And also you want to grab some little berries or little pine cones. You can find a lot of that also at the Dollar Tree. I grabbed mine from Hobby Lobby. I happened to grab this bush, so I'm going to be using a little bits from here. I also have this little bag of little mini pine cones, and I'm going to be using some of that. Whatever you may already have in your home, you can just use that. Okay, to decorate it, I'm also going to be using some of these cute little tree strand, little light strand. This is from a little miniature collection that they have there at the Hobby Lobby. They do have items like this at the Dollar Tree that you can choose from, just like they have these little LED lights. These are little candy canes. They have other shapes on them as well, but I just happen to have these, and I'm going to go ahead and use what I have. I also happen to have a string of LED lights already here at home, and I may use this instead, or you know, in combination. The lights are completely optional, or also your decorations are completely optional. Okay, I told you that we're going to be using a cutting mat, a rotary cutter. We're probably going to be using, well, we are going to be using our wire cutter to cut our chenille stem, some scissors if you don't have a rotary cutter, and then we're also going to use that for our ribbon, a craft knife to cut into our styrofoam. You could also use some scissors into that, a measuring stick, something straight edged, and a pencil to do some markings. And then we're going to be using a nice utility cutting knife. I grabbed this one from the Home Depot, from any hardware store. You grab these. These are awesome. These will cut anything that will cut through vinyl or flooring of any kind will cut through your mat board. And make sure your blade is nice and sharp. I'm going to go ahead and switch mine over to make sure I have a nice new one. I'm also going to be using my glue gun and glue sticks. All right. Anything else that comes to mind, I will grab it and let you know. But for now, let's get to crafting. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've cut up all my chenille stems into 1/4 size pieces. Just cut them in half and then in half again. So I've got a ton already cut, and I'll probably need more, but for now that is good enough. I'm going to go ahead and cover my little pot with some burlap that I happen to have. You can use any scrap piece of fabric burlap. This happens to be a ribbon burlap. You can use any ribbon if you want instead of burlap, or whatever little scrap of fabric that you might have if you want to cover a pot. If you happen to have one of these from the Dollar Tree's spring collection, or from any other collection that doesn't look Christmassy, just wrap it up with a little bit of fabric or a ribbon, and that will do, or just paint it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some glue and go ahead and stick this down, and then wrap it around and then glue it again. So first some glue down here. I just really want to cover that lettering, but it just so happens that this burlap happens to be right about the size of this. And then I'm just going to cut it right here, just a little bit bigger than it should be. Okay, so now we'll notice that the can does get smaller on the bottom, but we'll go ahead and fix that. Make sure the top aligns. Down, and then I'm just going to trim a little bit. That's a little bit too big, and then a little more glue on the edge here. There we go. Now, as you'll notice on my can, this is a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to do like little pleats on the sides. Let me put some glue right up here to make sure this doesn't slide up and down. There we go. Okay. Now I'm just going to do some little pleats and glue that down, and then I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so here's my little pot. I wrapped it up in the burlap, and I like the little kind of a sack look around it. So what I did is I took some twine, and then I just wrapped it around a couple of times and made a little knot in the front to tie it up. So I'm just going to trim that, and that's the little look that I gave my little bucket. Okay, now I'm going to get some styrofoam. Measure up about how high I need it to be. Take a little cut into it. And then just trim that. Alright, so now I can take my pot, and inside just drip some glue. There we go. And then just adhere our styrofoam in there. If you want to cover this up, you can use some moss. They do have moss at the Dollar Tree. They have it at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any craft store or floral store will have moss. So you can just cover that up. If you feel it's too wobbly, go ahead and add some little marbles in there and just drop them in there with a little bit of glue so they stay still. And there you go. Pot's ready. We're going to put it to the side so we can work on our next step. Alright, so now we're going to take a scrap piece of a foam board. It can be any color of foam board that you happen to have. Put this close to the camera so that you can see what a foam board is. Okay, so we're going to want to cut a 2-inch wide strip all the way down, and I want this to be about 14 inches in length, or 15 inches in length, sorry. So I'm going to mark 2 inches width, and I happen to know that this particular measuring stick that I have is 2 inches wide. This is a quilting ruler that I happen to have, but otherwise you could just mark it 2 inches over. If you do this, mark 2 inches, 2 inches, and so forth, and then connect those lines together with a long ruler. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it like that. If you don't want to mark it, you can just go ahead and cut straight into it with your cutting tool, utility knife. And I went ahead and I switched my blade. I kind of just flipped it over. And don't worry if it's not a perfect cut. Just trim that off. Okay, so we have our little piece here. We're not going to worry about the little edges because we're going to do some more trimming. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure at either end. Well, first of all, I want to make sure that it's only 15 inches long. So I'm going to use this cutting board or your ruler, measuring tape. Mark 15 inches. It could be a little taller, it could be a little wider, could be a little shorter, but this is the measurements that I'm going to be using for my little tree. You could decide to make several of them and maybe make a trio of little trees, and then make one a little bit taller, one 15 inches, and maybe another one that's 13 or 12 inches. All right, so once we've done that and we've got it the length that we wanted, I'm going to measure at one end where the center would be. And because it's 2 inches wide, I'm going to mark it at the 1 inch. Okay, so now that I've got my center here at this end here, I'm going to take my straight edge cutter right there where that center is, all the way down to the edge down here. You can mark it or just start cutting straight down. Trim this piece off. And then we want to do the same thing. We've done it to this side where we've cut off the piece. Now we want to do it to this side, so I'm just going to turn it around. Again, from that center to this very edge, which is no longer a center, but that little edge there at the top where it was the center. And then just trim that off. And it wasn't perfect, but it's good enough. Okay, and you try not to cut off the paper part, but if it does, it's no big deal. Now, if you're using white foam board, you might want to paint it a green or maybe even a brown or even a black. I happen to have this piece of black foam board, so that's what I'm using. I don't want anything light showing through my mesh, so that's why I'm using this. And because I have a little bit of a defect, I can use a Sharpie pen or marker and just paint that white styrofoam. You can paint the edges here or use a craft paint to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to have this little piece of foam board ready for our next step. All right, now that I've got my little piece of foam board painted or marked so that I don't see the white, I'm now going to put it into my little pot. And it doesn't matter which side you choose as the front, as long as you know that these are obviously your sides. So whatever is the side of your pot, make sure that you align this with the side. So this is going to be my side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit into my styrofoam, kind of make like a little well in there, a little ditch, and just trim that out like that, kind of like a piggy bank. You cut a little coin insert and then just measure. Yeah, that'll go in there. Okay, but we're not just going to put it in there just like that. We're going to go ahead and hot glue it. And I'm going to use 2 inches of this where I'm not going to put anything. So I'm just going to mark my 2 inches like so with a pencil. Just a little rough mark. Now I can pour hot glue in there and then put my foam board back in there. And I'm going to make sure I don't go all the way 2 inches. If I go in ½ an inch, that is perfectly fine. And that is what we want to do as our base. Okay, so then we can go ahead and take any moss that we might want to use. I'm just going to slide this over and above it like that. And then just cover up the styrofoam as best as you can. Just like that. If you want to use some greenery pens to hold it down, go right ahead. Or if you want to use your hot glue gun, little dots of glue, just so that it doesn't come off. But it's not going to once we start decorating this. Okay, so that's our base for our tree. And we shall be back. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start cutting all our mesh pieces. So I've gone ahead and unrolled this out a little bit, and I'm going to cut 6-inch pieces, and I'm going to do 18 to start off with, and I'm using the whole length for now, but then I will be cutting that also. So first we're going to start with 6-inch pieces, and you can either use your scissors and cut straight down, once you have something to measure. If you don't have a mat board like this, you might want to get a poster board and draw your own grid on it and just mark all your little inches, and then maybe use a Sharpie to mark them so that you can see them clearly every time you're going to be cutting with your scissors. Okay, and I just use this little ruler here to hold it down while I cut it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these for now, but I want to cut 18 pieces as I said. And then I want to cut these at 12-inch width or long, however you want to look at it, because I guess we did cut 6-inch width, and now we're going to cut them at 12-inch length. Cut that at 12-inch. Okay, so we're going to want 18 pieces that are 6-inch by 12. So I'm going to go ahead and get those ready, and then we're going to move over to the next step. Alright, so now I've got my 18 pieces that are 12 by 26, and then I've got a remainder here of 9 inches. So now I'm going to cut these into 8-inch pieces. I could leave them at 9, why not? But I'm going to go ahead and trim them to 8-inch pieces. So I'm just going to take a couple at a time and just trim off an inch. So just hold them down. Trim off an inch, and I'll just do that to the rest of these, and then we'll get to our next step. Okay, so now I've got my 12 by 6 and my 8 by 6, and now I want some 10 by 6. So now I'm going to cut another 18 pieces, 6-inch wide each time. So let me go ahead and do one right now. And then now these, I'm going to want them to be 10 inches long. There we go. And I've realized something, because this is a 21-inch wide roll, and I need 10-inch. So 2 of them would be 20 inches. So now I'm just going to trim off 1 inch off the other piece. So instead of cutting 18, I'm going to cut 9. So out of each one, I'll get 2 pieces. So at the end, I'll have 18. All right, so I've cut all my pieces that are 12 by 6, and I've got 18 of those. These are 10 by 6, 18 of those, and these are 8 by 6, and I've got 18 of those. And now I need some 6 by 6 and 6 by 4, but I don't need 18 because my tree gets thinner as I go up. So I'm going to work with 12. So now I need 12 6 by 6. And in a, let's cut one strip here of the of a 6-inch wide, because they're all 6-inch. Okay, so cut a strip 6 inches wide for now. And I need these to be 6 inches, and this is 21 inches. So out of 21 inches, I can get 3 pieces, obviously, because that is 6 times 3 is 18 inches, and I've got 21. So I'm going to cut my pieces now. And here we go. So I can get 3 pieces out of every one. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut 6, because 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, so I've cut my 6 by 6, and I think I need to make a correction, because I think I said I needed to cut 6 strips. I needed 4 strips because I only need 12 count. So 6 by 6 pieces here, and I get 3 out of each. So 4 strips, that would have made my 12 pieces. Okay, now I need to cut 4 by 6. So these strips are 6 inches, and then I cut them at 4, and out of one strip, one 6-inch wide strip, I got 5 pieces, and I need 12. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 more strips, which gives me a little bit more. It'll give me 15, and I only need 12, but that's fine. So okay, so I'm back, and out of 2 strips, I've gotten 10, and I said that I needed 12. So out of this one, instead of cutting a whole bunch of them and having leftovers, I'm just going to go ahead and cut 2 more at 4 inches. Okay, now I'm going to put these little strips together, just like that. All of these pieces. There we go. And I'll save this in case I need more. Alright, now that I've got them like this, I'm going to take all of these, and just how they kind of want to curl in like that, and that's in the 6-inch length of them. Let's put these over to the side and grab one, roll it up as tight as you can, all the way to the ends. Roll them up nice and tight as well. And it'll get easier as the shorter they get. And then just bring them around, just like that. And you're going to take a small piece of chenille and just wrap about 1 inch of the ends. So you have these little bits like that. And then I just kind of fold them up a little bit. There we go. We're going to do them all like that. Let me do a little one so that you can see that it'll be a lot easier as they get shorter. Roll them up as tight as you can. Bring them together. And here you're going to grab about 1/2 inch off the ends. You're not going to grab a whole inch. And then you're going to have these short little bits. And these are all going to be our branches on our tree. So we have a lot of rolling to do and tying together. So we're going to get right to it. This was the 8-inch and so forth. So I'll be back once I've got all of my bits all tied up like that. All right, I've got all my 12-inch pieces, my 10, 8, 6, and 4. I've gone ahead and I've cut an extra 6 of the 12-inch instead of 18 pieces. I have 24 of these, 24 of the 10, 24 of the 8, 12, and 12 of the 6 and the 4. Now I may have to cut more of these. I may not use as much. I'm not sure yet because I am making this up as I go along. This is being designed right in front of your eyes. Anything different that you see that you would do, then go right ahead and do so, and maybe leave a little comment down below. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start off with these 12-inch pieces. So I'm going to start doing here at the front. Got this little bit of moss there. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing before I've actually put one on is I'm going to be just trimming off just a little bit of the green part right here. There we go. And I'm going to start off with one of them right here at the very bottom. So I'm going to put plenty of glue. And I can see where I make that pencil mark, my 2 inches. So I know that I can start at about that spot. I'm going to try and put 3 of these here on this side, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to put an extra one here and an extra one here. So that's why I cut the extra 6, because I have 3 rows and 2 in each one. That makes it 6. I'm just cutting off a little bit of that so it's not so bulky. And you're probably saying, well, then why did you cut? Why did you tie up that much? Well, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the ends were being grabbed. So that's why I cut that. This will take a little while because you want to hold it and make sure that it's drying. And I've got my little fan going there, so that is hitting this. And now let's go for the next one. This is probably something you want to do while you're listening to some nice music. Maybe listening to a movie. You don't need to be watching it completely. There we go. Just your favorite YouTube videos. Okay. I'll listen to a documentary. Okay, so as you can see, right there, I've got the 3, and you kind of get the feel on what I'm trying to do. Those are the branches of the tree. And of course, we're putting bigger ones, and then we're going to be going smaller and smaller as we go up our tree. Press down the chenille. Okay, next one. And I'm just kind of looking at them, seeing which way they kind of curve, and they kind of do this little bit where it kind of curves upward. As you can see, so that's what I'm gluing to the back here. I'm going to get that camera a little bit closer so you can see the detail of what I'm doing down here, so I can continue building my tree. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start building the next row. But what I'm going to try and do now is that I'm going to start putting these next ones on top of these, but I'm going to kind of go in between the ones that are already there rather than directly on top. So let's do that. And a little bit of glue also on the stems part. Not all the way, you know, over here, just a little bit on there, so it'll have somewhere to glue on to these other little, what we were calling branches. Okay. And we need more glue, that's all right. Resting it in there between two. Kind of looking to see which way it curves. Wherever it curves up, that'll be facing upward. Mesh branches on my tree. I'm not going to go all the way to the very tip of this black foam board because I'm going to be putting a bow here. And what I basically did is as I was putting them on, I was making sure that, you know, the chenille stem that was just under it was also being covered. So I tried to do that as best as I could. I do have still some little bits here. I did 3 rows of the 12, 3 rows of the 10, 3 rows of the 8, but when I got to the 6 I only did 2 rows, and now I'm doing the 4, and I'm also just going to do maybe 1 row, and then the rest of the little 4-inch bits that I have, I'm going to tuck them here and there to hide any mesh that I can still see. Okay, I think that actually looks pretty good. I don't think I need to put any more. Well, I'll put one right here just to hide that. Let's see. Okay, I'll do one over here as well. That leaves me with 1 left over. So remember, I cut 12. I didn't cut any more. Now the very big one, the 12-inch, I did cut extra. So remember, I ended up with 24 of those. Then 18, 18, and 12 and 12. So obviously, if you use a 15-inch height as your guide, this will work out. If you decide to go bigger, of course, you'll have to cut more, probably just cut some more of the 12, more of the 10 and the 8, and so forth. Then just cut them as you go along. That way you don't cut more than what you need. There we go. That's what it's looking like, the very top. And I said I was going to put a bow up here at the very top, but I'm also going to fill in with some pine cones and just a little bit of this because I do want some of the greenery from that and the little berries. So let's get a bow made. I'm actually going to do 2, and I've got 3 yards of ribbon. This is 9 feet, so it's approximately 3 yards because they're not always exact. Sometimes you get a little tiny bit extra, sometimes you get a little tiny bit less. Sometimes you get one that's been cut and then taped to give you the rest, which, you know, that's not really 3 yards of ribbon really that you're getting. You get 3 yards of ribbon, but you're not getting a 3-yard length, a continuous length. Okay, I cut them in half. And I'm going to take one of these, more or less the same length, and I'm just going to make like a little loop like that, and then a nice loop to the side of it, another loop to the other side, and I think that's good enough. I'm going to take a chenille stem and cut it in half. One to tie up each bow. Okay. And then I'll just roll in the chenille stem onto the bow. Now the front of my tree is right here, right there. So I want to put this right there. I'm going to trim the tip off and just put lots of glue here in the front, making sure that I cover the chenille stems from where these little bits are tied. Sticking down our ribbon, our bow. Onto the glue that's on there, and then I'm going to do another bow and put it on the opposite side, which is the back. That way this tree can be turned around and seen, not turned around, but if you put it as a centerpiece, you can see it from every direction. Maybe put it on your office desk, school desk, wherever you want to put this, or just in your home as on an end table. Or if you don't have anything for your fireplace, you can tuck it in there. But now I'm wishing I had a fireplace because it's getting cold here in Texas. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it here and there, and then I can just glue it down. Okay, so I'm going to make another bow and I'll be back. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've tucked in the ribbons that are going down, and I've been gluing them down. Then I remembered that I wanted to put some lights, and I want to get the lights on there before I actually do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use this LED string of little lights here instead of the other one because this is a lot longer. So the battery pack can just get tucked into the can back here where you can just kind of reach it and then turn it off and on, or just set it on the table. So I'm going to go ahead and put this lights on here, but I'm going to weave them obviously through the and just bring it around. tuck it under here, but I'm going to weave it through the ribbon that I've glued down. So I'm just going into it. And there we go. I don't want to glue this particular light string on, so I'm just going to kind of tuck it, a little wire to kind of bend around onto things. Let me tuck it under this ribbon. Let's see. Glue these two bow loops together so we don't see that. Like this right here, you won't see that by gluing these two bits together. So I'm going to do that. That's my husband, if you heard that. Okay. Just getting your glue. All right. And this wire bends so I can kind of maneuver it so that it kind of stays. Okay, so now I was just taking this and pinching a little bit here, and then a little dollop of glue, and then gluing this down. And this also helps to keep the wire of the lights on here, but it, you know, you're not actually like gluing the lights. That way if you have to take them off, if they go out, you can just, you know, pull them out from between things. So there we go. That's what it looks like, light it up. And as you can see, this looks really pretty just as it is. But I'm going to go ahead and add some pine cones. And I'm going to add the pine cones where I feel like I have maybe some chenille showing, but I'm going to try to keep it as even as I can. And of course I want a pine cone up at the top. So I'm trying to look for a nice big one. This one looks okay. Put lots of glue on it. Put this right up here at the very top. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to look for smaller little pine cones like these and put those at the in your little top little crevices where you can hide something. I just hid something there. Let me see the front of it. I might want to hide something right here. You can see a little bit of the chenille. Okay, put that in there. And then I'll just work my way around, adding the pine, and I will be back so we can add maybe a little bit of the berries, and that will be it. All right, I'm finishing up my arrangement by adding some of these bits of holly that I've cut up from that larger bush that I showed you. Some of the little berries pop up, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on them and tuck them back into the stem like so. You don't have to add these. You can just add the little berries, but you don't have to add the leaves. One more on this other side. Just open up those leaves and just don't cover up any of the pine cones you put in there. Now you could leave all that out and not add that in. Of course, I'm always going to put some berries in. So that's it. This is my little Deco Mesh mini Christmas tree in a little pot. I think it looks really cute, and I think it'll fit in with my farmhouse decor. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put it yet, but I may put it in my kitchen or maybe in the entry as you walk in with some other arrangements that I have planned for that area. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. I hope that you will give me a big old thumbs up as well and leave a nice comment down below. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and share on your social medias. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so that you'll be notified every time that I put up a video, which is every Tuesday and every Friday. And that's it. No more to say, but thank you all very much who have already subscribed. And well, as always, enjoy.